I'm Anne-Marie Morel. One of the very first social networkers was Ronald Reagan. When Ronald gave up acting, he went on the road as GE's national spokesman, and he talked about GE products, but he also talked about American exceptionalism, and he talked about the need for smaller government. So by the time he ran for office, he already had a built-in audience of millions and millions of Republican supporters. Flash forward to today, and one of the biggest social network icons on Facebook is someone named Jan Morgan. This woman has almost 50,000 Facebook friends and subscribers on her two very conservative pages, and she's becoming one of the go-to experts on all things Islam. She's an award-winning journalist, and on a personal note, she and I have known each other since high school, and she's one of the reasons I became politically outspoken. So today we're going to be talking to Jan Morgan on this episode of The Patriot Update. All right, this is her. All our mutual fans on Facebook are going to go insane because they've been talking about the Jan and Ann show forever.
That's right. It's long overdue.
I know, it is.
But it's hard. You're in California, I'm in Texas, and pulling us together is almost like it takes a miracle. Well, actually, it took Christmas holidays.
It did, and Christmas is a miracle, so there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Ann Coulter has 18,622 Facebook friends. John Voight has 25,167. Pamela Geller, 9,956. Jan Morgan, as of right now, has 46,618 people on her two pages. This is amazing.
It is. I mean, I don't know how that happened.
I do.
I don't.
How do you not know? Please, you do. You do know. You do know. It's because you have a gift. You say something, and people listen. That's a gift. Not many people have that.
Well, thank you, Ann. Thanks. I appreciate that.
And I want to also clear up one thing. Ann, the name Ann. I was Ann all through high school, and then so everyone who knows me from Texas, I'm Ann. So today I'm Ann. I'm not Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie, right?
No, I'm Ann.
What people don't know, I think we need to put this out there because we put it on my show, so I think we need to put it on your show, that in 1981, Ann was Miss Lake of the Pines, which is a Northeast Texas, Miss Texas affiliate pageant. And then she crowned me in 1982 Miss Lake of the Pines. So we're connected. We go way back into like the dark ages.
Oh yeah.
But we were only what, 6 years old then?
6,
yes.
Yeah. It was the Little Miss pageant. Little Miss Texas.
How we were, what, 18, 19 then?
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
But listen, we won't talk about age.
But also, both of our moms were drama teachers in our respective high schools. I was cheerleader. You were majorette, weren't you?
Yes.
You majorette. I went to North Texas State. You went to East
whatever
Texas
their name
State, now, right. Whatever they're called
Texas A&M now.
So. Okay. Well, I mean, we went to those schools. Then I went off to be a famous actress in Hollywood, and you became this amazing award-winning journalist, broadcast woman, and now we've come full circle, and we're all
both in conservative politics. Yes.
Yeah. But I also said and talk about what your hometown show. She has a show that's non-political, if you can imagine that.
It is in Texas, and I have to be careful about. This is unusual, but I don't release the name of the call letters of the station I work for or the town that the show broadcasts from because since I've been so outspoken on Islam, I get a lot of death threats and have had to take some major security precautions in my life. And so one of the things we did immediately when the threats started coming was remove those things from my Facebook pages. I took some great security precautions, and also the station that I work for was kind enough to take this stuff that we broadcast off of to make sure it's not on YouTube and it's as much as possible. So yes, but I love what I do, and the show, people will be surprised to know this, it's not political.
Yeah.
My show is warm and fuzzy kind of human interest stories about the good things. It's one of those shows you can turn to and watch and know that there's not going to be anything controversial on it. It's just about the great things, people, places, and things that make our worlds, individual worlds in our small towns, great places to live. So.
On your Facebook page, you talked about how Obama is the reason you became political.
Yes.
Was it one thing in particular, or what was it? What made you change?
It was, my Facebook was like your Facebook page. And like most people, I started out creating a Facebook just to connect with old friends. And my post would be along the lines of, today I'm going to do thus and so, or I just left thus and so. And, it was just very personal, a lot of personal pictures and that sort of thing. And then when it came close to election and I was watching, and I had already listened to Barack Obama when he spoke at the Democratic National Convention years before. And I turned to someone who was in the same room with me and I said, that man is going to be president of the United States one day. And that's when I started paying attention to him. I wanted to know, who is this person? He's going to be the first black president of the United States. So I started doing my research and I began to find out, I looked at his voting record and I realized how far left he was. And I thought, ugh, and I started talking about Barack Obama on my Facebook. And of course, immediately I started losing friends. And I realized then that politics can be really dirty. You know, it gets, when you start just vocalizing the truth. And one of the first attacks that people made against me was that I was racist. Yeah. And I said, you know,
of course,
the color of Obama's skin does not affect me, but his policies do and will. And that's why I had to speak out and let people know, hey folks, I know he's a great orator and he's, you know, and it's exciting that perhaps, you know, African Americans can move forward and want someone as an African American is president of the United States. Then no one can say anymore that black people cannot succeed here. I think, you know, everybody wanted him to succeed. I did, but I didn't want him to succeed with a socialist agenda that I knew he was bringing to the table. Right. And I knew when he kept saying hope and change, that the change he was bringing is not what people were expecting. And unfortunately, I think a lot of Americans, Anne, were asleep. As you and I have discussed, apathy, we both agree that apathy is probably the greatest threat to our nation. And I thought, oh gee, folks are not, they're paying attention to his charisma, to his speaking abilities, and they're not looking at who he really is. And the media, the liberal media, was not helping with that. Oh, no. You know, the liberal media
But I don't think the right helped that much either.
No.
McCain certainly didn't. He didn't bring anything to the elections at all.
But, you know, but here we go, Anne. The media, especially the liberal media, all the major networks will go over every conservative candidate with a fine-tooth comb, from digging up emails from 50 years before to going back to their, you know, private history from when they were in high school. So, you know.
But do you know why they do that? They don't do it because the left has necessarily morals and cares about that. They do that because they know the right does.
The right does.
So
and
they
when we take a stand on that.
Yeah, we'll take a stand and shove out whoever they criticize.
So that's why I started talking about Obama on my Facebook page. And
what happened with Islam? What pushed you over the edge with that? Because I'm telling you, anyone who knows Jan, this is her passion. Yes. Getting out there and letting people know how urgent it is that Sharia is in in America now. It's not a maybe or someday. It's here.
Right. You know, and I think that the greatest. I read Noni Darwish's book called Cruel and Usual Punishment. And it is about the silent jihad that is occurring in our country. And something that she said that I think everyone should know is that the gravest mistake we are making as Americans is that we're so focused on preventing physical acts of terror that we're not paying attention to the political jihad that is going on, the infiltration of Islamic values in our school systems, in our judicial system, in the legislative branch, the executive branches of our governments. And we have two people now who are Muslims, who are elected congressmen, who insist on being sworn in by the Quran. Yeah. And you know, people just don't. In individual cities, when people find out about, oh, well, they had this little Islamic cultural, you know, program in my kid's school, and it was just a one-time thing.
Nice.
And
Sweet.
But when you look all over the country at how all these things are occurring simultaneously, it adds up to one final solution, and that is that what is happening in the United States right now is the path to where Europe is today. And if you want to know what America is going to be like in 10 years, I challenge you to just get on the internet and type in Islam/Europe. There are multiple videos, and there's so much information about what the people in that country are going to be. Because, Anne, and then I read the Quran, the Hadith, and the Surah, and then I realized the driving force behind the terror attacks. I realized that there's no such thing as radical Islam. I really get irritated when people say that. Because radicalizing something means perverting something. It means taking text, for example, in the Quran and taking it out of context and perverting it. That's radicalizing something. You know, there are 109 verses of hate, murder, and terror, dictations from in their Quran, Hadith, and Surah. That's the driving force, that's the root of all this political and physical jihad that is occurring not only in America but around the world. And so until we realize that and address the dictates in those books, it's not going to stop.
Well, but as you know firsthand, when you say these things, even if you're just stating facts,
right.
you can read
Which
it
is all I
straight
do.
out.
Which is all I do.
You get in trouble.
Right.
Anyone. We've gotten in trouble on Politichicks
right.
for saying anything even slightly anti-Muslim.
Oh, I've been
or
called a hater, a racist. Well, let me say something. Islam is not a race. Okay, so let's just make sure that everybody, when you call someone a racist, that means that the remarks that they're making and their position is based on racial bias. Islam is not a race, number one. Number two, I want to clarify this. I do not hate Muslims. I don't hate anyone. And I honestly believe that there are as many Muslims in this country who have no idea what is in their Quran, Hadith, and Surah as there are Christians in this country who don't know what's in their own Bible.
Right.
You know, and that when there are even Muslims who come on my Facebook pages when I make a post and say, "Oh, well, not all Muslims believe this. Not all." I said, "Okay, so are you telling me that you do not, that what Muhammad says, you don't buy into that? Are you telling me that you will condemn all of those 109 passages that are in your Quran, Hadith, and Surah? Will you condemn those? Will you condemn terror attacks?" And they might say,
deny that they exist.
They will say, "Well, I condemn terror attacks against innocent people." But here's what Noni Darwish says about that. Because she was a Muslim. Noni was a Muslim the first 30 years of her life. And she says, when a Muslim or an imam says, "Yes, we condemn terror attacks against innocent people," what they're saying is they believe only Muslims or followers of Islam are innocent. The rest of us are not. So they're saying we do not condone terror against members of our own religion. So,
all right, Jan Morgan, you have a lot of power. I once saw Jan Morgan post a picture of a kitten asleep on a keyboard. I think you wrote the word "goodnight," and you had 3,422 shares and 10,043 likes.
okay, now you're exaggerating.
I'm exaggerating a tiny bit, but you know this. You can post at 2 and you're going to get 9,000 God bless yous. You have a lot of power. And like I was saying about President Reagan, he started out humble beginnings, just speaking the truth. And he was given a gift that I believe is by God for people to listen to him. And that's what you have. What are you going to do with this power you've been given? This gift?
I don't consider it power.
It's a gift of power. It is.
It is. I consider it an opportunity to influence. All right, and what I want to do, Anne, is just expose people to the truth. I do not want people to hate Muslims. I do not condone violence and inciting. I don't incite violence, and I refuse to allow people on my Facebook pages to call Muslims muzzies. And you know, we don't need to go there. We need to make people understand, including Muslims, that here's the problem. You know, according to your books that you aspire to, you cannot peacefully coexist in a constitutional republic. You can't. And so we have to deal with that legislatively. And I just want to wake people up so that people will become educated and make up their own minds. I want people to read the Quran, Hadith, and Surah, including Muslims. I would like for you to read your books. And then look at it objectively and say, you know, hate is not the answer. Yelling at each other is not the answer. How can we come together and address this issue in a way that people in this country who want to follow Islam, but they truly do not want to be involved in any violence, how can we allow religion, freedom of religion, to exist?
Not freedom from religion.
Religion from, and at the same time make people understand. And when I say deal with this legislatively, Anne, I think that I understand the First Amendment right to religion. But when you classify something as a religion, I think that's where we have an issue. I think that I wish the First Amendment had gone a little further. If I could only have talked to our founding fathers, you know, if I could only have said, you know, can we just go ahead and define religion a little bit? Can we say that something, that any religion that's book of directives, holy book, directs that its followers commit crimes that are against the laws of this country, then that religion loses its tax-exempt religious status, yes, and no longer is observed as a religion in this country. And if a religion orders and dictates its followers to commit violent acts against people, then and it starts infiltrating the lives of other people in such an assaulting way, then it should be labeled a terrorist organization. And I know that's a very volatile comment, but I have said on my Facebook, so people, I can't, I'm not going to take this back. I believe that Islam is a theocracy slash terrorist organization and should be classified as such until they decide to remove those 109 directives in the Quran, Hadith, and Surah. If they'll remove those, wipe those out. And there's a doctor, Dr. Hudi Jazzer in Arizona, who was Muslim, and he, after 9/11, he discovered, he went to a number of imams and said, let's step forward and condemn this. This is not who we are. And I challenge you to watch his documentary. It's called The Third Jihad. Go on YouTube and bring it up. It's called The Third Jihad. Yes, it's wonderful. But Dr. Hudi Jazzer discovered then, he's a Muslim. He's a great guy. You'll see him on Fox News often. And he said, not only could he not get an imam to step forward with him and condemn these terror attacks after 9/11, he was excommunicated. So he's still a Muslim, but he practices it from a peaceful perspective. And I think he has the answers to how people who want to follow Islam can exist peacefully in a constitutional republic and not become the focus of so much anger and resentment from the American people.
I still want you to get back to the question that I first asked you.
Are you telling me I didn't answer your question?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
Okay, are you going to go into politics? What is your goal? Because you have this gift of power. It's power. Words are powerful. You have this gift. Not everyone has this. What's your goal?
I want to fulfill God's purpose for my life. And I don't know what that is.
Could God want you to run for office?
I don't know. The way I have always handled...
Ronald Reagan didn't know he was going to be political either. It just evolved that way.
Well, I'm not... I do what I do because of a passion for my country. And that is the bottom line of the reason that's what drives me. I have a passion for my country. I want to restore America to the constitutional republic that it was meant to be. And so whatever I can do toward that, and I'm assuming that because I feel that passion, that is a God thing, and I'm constantly asking God to direct me in my life, and if He opens doors that need to be opened, then I will walk through them if I have a peace about it, and if I don't, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing, and as long as He allows it. Who knows how much longer I'm going to be on Facebook.
Write-in candidate for president, Jan Morgan, 2012.
I will say this, at any time, I've been warned by Facebook. I mean, they've just deactivated my accounts twice. I've had, and they've done this to another number of conservatives, but I expect any day now that they're going to delete my accounts, and then I'm starting over from scratch again. So who knows? If I lose those 30,000 subscribers and those 16,000 on the Jan on America page, then I don't have any influence. I'm back to
Ronald Reagan. There was no such thing
as Facebook.
He did it. He got out in the United States and went town to town.
Okay.
It's going to happen one way or the other.
Okay.
All right. Jan Morgan, Jan on America. You can find her on Facebook. We'll put all of her websites right here. Thank you so much. I just love this girl.
It's been a blast.
And our lives really have gone parallel in a lot of really strange ways. And she is the reason I became political. I watched her speak out and defend America, and even though I lost a lot of liberal friends when I started talking to living in LA, which is in the snake den, I knew I couldn't be quiet anymore either, because this girl was so brave. So thank you, I love you. Thanks for watching. You'll learn more about Jan Morgan right here, and as soon as she runs for office, I'll put all of her political information on here for you to vote for her. Until next time, I'm Anne Marie Morrell with Patriot Update, saying stay safe and keep the faith.